Double kill. Triple kill. Overkill.
Hey guys, Jacob here. This is another 1.8.3 build video for The Division. This is going to be going over my crit hit Alpha Bridge build I decided to throw back together and make a few modifications to it for 1.8.3. I'll get right into the build so you guys can see. As you guys can see, I am running 5-piece Alpha with Savage, and you guys are probably going to say, yeah, we've seen this before. But this one is just mostly based on crit hit chance and crit hit damage, and this is with the ARs instead of the house, because personally, I like the house, but I prefer ARs because of the range, and you can be able to beam people who's someone who's across from you, and if they're right in front of your face, sure, the house does more damage, but I like being able to have a little bit of distance on players. So I'll get right into the weapons. As you guys can see, 23.6 base damage. That's a little bit high for my normal Alpha Bridge builds. I usually have a little bit lower than that. Specifically on ARs, it's usually around 21 because I like having a little bit more stamina, but I decided to invest in a little bit more firearms in this version. As you can see, I'm using Deadly, Vicious, and Responsive. I know you guys are going to probably say Vicious is awful for this build because you're going to be dying like crazy. Yes, that's true, but this build was a little bit designed to have some range on people and be able to hit them before they get too close to you, and I will tell you guys how you can switch this around with a few other talents if you want to be a little bit more tanky. Or face tanky, I should say, if you want to just get right in someone's face. But as you see, it has responsive rolled as well. Damage increased by 10% when closer to 10 meters. Crit hit chance is from Vicious, as you can see, and the crit hit damage is from Deadly by 15%. And now Adept. Increasing his skill is for 7.5 or 7.50%, my bad, for 15 seconds. Adept used to be pretty damn good before, I think it was 1.7. You could actually stack the talent and use it over and over and over again, which made it pretty damn OP, and a lot of people who could effectively use this strategy, like I did personally, by hitting your booster and hitting your pulse with 50% skill haste with attack she builds, you could just shred through players. And you guys are probably saying use Fierce because it's always going to be active. Yes, that's true. But I like Adept a little bit more because it gives you that little bit more extra crit hit chance, and Fierce is just, a little bit less, so I decided to use Adept instead, plus the Pulse. The secondary weapon has Competent, Deadly, and Adept, and Responsive. This weapon is not bad at all if you have to swap to this weapon and use it, and you kill someone, you can do that as well, but this is more of a backup weapon when you're ready to finish someone off. Now I'll go over the mods on the weapons. I'm using the Pro Sight with crit hit chance, crit hit damage, headshot damage. The magazine has crit hit chance, rate of fire, and magazine size. Small grip with 90% crit hit damage, stability, and optimal range. Loud vent break with crit damage, headshot damage, and crit hit chance. You could use something like the FDE suppressor if you want to have reduced threat, but since I'm going to be using this in PvP a lot, I think there's really no point because I use this build a lot in Skirmish and Last Stand. But if you use this in the DZ, you could just throw a suppressor on there so the NPCs don't screw with you as much. Now on the secondary weapon, which is modded pretty much the same except the scope, which is a holographic tan scope, just get a little bit more crit chance. And I just threw this on here because I don't really use this weapon and it's just kind of there to be there. Has crit chance, auto range, and crit damage. Yes, I know you could throw something on like this, but it's just kind of on there at the moment. I'll probably switch it later. The extended mag has crit chance, rate of fire, magazine size, small grip with crit damage, accuracy, and reload speed. You want stability, but at the moment there's the other stability mod for my grip is actually on the other lightweight. Loud vent break with crit damage, crit chance, headshot damage. Now going to the sawed-off shotgun, which is pretty decent for this build, self-preserved, predatory, and determined. And since this is a 5-piece, you actually will get your ult back. And when you smack someone who's on the ground or shoot an NPC, you'll get the health from predatory and get the skill cooldowns from determined. Now going to the gear set pieces. First, the Alpha Bridge chest piece is rolled for stamina, EDR, health, and ammo capacity. Ammo capacity I think is pretty damn important on the vest, especially if you can't get on the bag, try to get on the vest at least the 56% because it helps out a lot. Mostly because you're only using 2 of the same guns, and once that gun's out of ammo, you're in trouble because you have no more bullets. The mods in this are a stamina and a firearms crit hit chance mod. On the mask is rolled for firearms, crit chance, and damage to elites, in a stamina health mod. I'm going to tell you guys out, this is the only health mod that's on the build because I wanted to get a little bit more health, and I'll tell you guys why in a little bit. On the knee pads are rolled for crit damage, damage to elite, disarmament resistance to shock, and has a prototype firearms mod with a pulse crit hit chance mod. You want burn, shock, and bleed. If I remember correctly, those are the minors you really want to get, but I don't have luck with Alpha Bridge knee pads, and these are the only ones I have at the moment, so I'm stuck with that. The backpack is rolled for stability, bleed resistance, and firearms. Like I said, you want ammo capacity personally, but I think if you have it on your vest, you're pretty good. If you have it on your backpack, sure, you have more ammo, but personally, usually if I'm using this build and I'm with a team, then we usually just kill a bunch of players that run to the manhunt station and get it off pretty easily. But I wish I had it, but at least I have bleed resistance on there since everybody's using pred. I know it's not really, crazy against pred, but it's better than nothing. The stability's there mostly to beam people who are at distance. You could throw crit hit damage on there and have way more crit hit damage, but I like stability on all my backpacks, mostly on Banshee and Alpha Bridge, so that's why it's on there. The mod on this is a stamina crit chance mod with a pulse crit damage and a pulse crit chance mod. The gloves, which are savage, crit chance increased by 7% against targets out of cover. Assault rifle damage, crit chance, and crit hit damage. The holsters roll for crit chance and all stats, as you guys know, and a pulse crit hit damage mod on the holster. Now, I'll go into the character sheet and show you guys so you can see. 37% crit chance, 121 damage. You could have 130, like I said, if you want to roll the backpack, but I'll show you this, guys, right now. As you can see, I do have 37%, but when I hit the pulse, it goes to 44%. And if you had the 44% plus the 7%, remember correctly, from the Savage Gloves, you're getting about 50-51%, somewhere around there. And also, if you count the Pulse, which I'll show you guys in a second, which is right here, you guys will be getting 11% crit damage and 11% crit chance. So you're hitting right around at 60, if I remember correctly, if I added up correctly on my notepad. So I could be wrong, correct me if I am, but you're hitting right about 60. I'll go back into the character sheet real quick so you guys can see the survivability. And I know the survivability is pretty low, which is right here, my bad. 460,000 toughness, which is personally pretty low for me. Usually I go around the 500 mark. 310,000 max health. I know that's not a lot, but this build is mostly designed to be used with a healer. That way you have someone who can heal you and you're putting on a decent amount of damage against players. Now, the stability, which you guys can see, which is right here. Once I get to it, 19% stability. I know it's not a lot compared to something like, using Striker back in the day. You could just beam people before they nerfed it, and you could throw stability in your backpack and hit people from crazy-ass range. I know how to get stability up more. You could use a grip if you want to actually have more, but I decided not to. I think 19% is enough, almost at 20. I think if the you could throw a different suppressor on there and have crit damage, crit chance instead of headshot, you could have around 22% stability, but I think 19% is personally enough. That's about it for that weapon. I'll show you guys the secondary weapon before I go into the abilities, if it'll let me, which is right here. As you guys can see, 31% crit chance, 106 damage. The damage could be up higher, but since that scope's on there, it's on there just to be on there, since the other gun doesn't have the same talents, but that's just how it is. Now I'll go into the abilities and show you guys why I'm using them. The Pulse, yes, you could get more crit chance, but personally I don't think that you need it because you're going to be overdoing it. So I kind of just use 2 and 2. That way you get 11% on each, and you have a decent amount when you hit your Pulse. And you go into the fact that you're getting 7% from Savage and you're getting 7 from Adept. So that comes in with the Pulse as well when you proc Adept. So it kind of adds up a little bit more. The booster shot for the extra damage. Yes, the heal's complete shit. So I would not recommend trying to rely on this. I'd recommend running this with a team. That way you have a better heal. But if you're running in skirmish or last stand, I think it'll be pretty alright because you're just going to be shooting players and running around. And it doesn't really matter if you die or not because you'll respawn immediately. The immune station is being used a lot on this build, mostly in the DZ because people are running pred constantly. I ran this build in skirmish and last stand, and I haven't really encountered any pred. Maybe it's just my luck, but yes, I know it's there. I just haven't encountered it, and I know this build will probably get shredded if someone hits me with pred bleed, and it will probably just kill me instantly if I don't pop the immune box and get the heal from that, and it'll stop the bleed. The recovery link for the signature skill, mostly because, yes, on the 5-piece, you do get your signature skill because you're not using the 6-piece, if you guys do not know. The talents on this build I'm using are Adrenaline for the pred bleed, critical save, combat medic, which is very important if you're in a group, that way you can heal your teammates, and strike back. That way when you're almost dead, you can hit your booster shot and your med kit. What I usually do is when I'm almost dead, and I have a med kit on standby, I'll hit the med kit and the booster close together, so that way you get your heal and you get your damage, and you should be able to hit someone right in their face and try to do a lot of damage to them. Okay, now what I'm going to discuss are the talent changes. Yes, I know Vicious is, not really that great against Alpha Bridge or on Alpha Bridge because you have really low stamina, and I wanted to get as much crit as I could. You could throw Unforgiving on this instead. That way you could run Deadly, Unforgiving, and Responsive and Adept. That works by all means. That's a great combo. I've been using Deadly, Unforgiving, and Responsive and Adept. I can't really decide though, personally. But the damage though on a Unforgiving is way better if you're gonna run up and face tank someone. But like I said, I've been using this build mostly to try to get behind people or get in front of people and be able to shoot them from a distance, but lately that's not been the case, as you guys will see the skirmish gameplay in the other video. But Unforgiving, personally, I think might be a change I might have to switch to if you want to get, that is if you're going to be fighting people right in front of your face, like in the Dark Zone. I think Unforgiving is probably necessary. So you could just change Vicious for Unforgiving if you guys want a little bit more damage when you're almost dead. But I'm using Vicious at the moment because I really like Vicious and I know how to hit my shots. But yes, it will get you killed if you have less than 2 bars because the talent is inactive. That's really about it for the video, guys. I have nothing else I really want to discuss. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will catch you in the next one.